What I want to do is talk to you about the number one thing that you need to do to build a Think Plus business. It's the number one thing you need to do. I was at a meeting last night in Worcester, Massachusetts, and it's amazing when you get a group of advisors together and you do a training after the meeting. It's amazing how many people that I know that I see in the business that are already advisors, and they didn't do the number one thing that they need to do to build a Think Plus business right out of the gate. Okay, we teach this every week like clockwork on our Saturday training, but I wanted to highlight this and give a mini training on this and expand this topic because it is of paramount importance when you're building the business. And that is the written list. You have to have a written list in this business to be able to build something big. It all starts with it. Like, if there's one thing I could choose for someone to do right out of the gate after they get certified and they go through and make sure their websites are up and running so that they can bring in advisors and customers, the number one thing I would have them do is build a list. Everything, all of the success in the business. Go ask anybody in this business that reached high ranks very quickly in the business. Go ask any one of them in the business and ask them what kind of list they had. If they had a list when they started, ask them if they had a list when they started. I guarantee you every one of them had a list, an exhaustive list, not just a short list. So if I could recommend to anyone in the business, your first best 2 hours in this business, I like to call it 2 hours. Your first best 2 hours in the business are spent building your list of prospects. This is a comprehensive, exhaustive list of prospects, customers and advisors, or both. Customers, advisors, and both. It basically encompasses everybody that you have ever met in your entire life. That's what we're talking about here. This is no stones unturned. Here's the thing that I know about building a written list. It's the inventory for your business, but it's also the thing that keeps you in the business. And if you build a list of business, a huge list, and you follow the steps I'm going to show you, and you do it, and then you teach it to your team, you will have the fundamentals to win national championships in this business. You'll be able to skyrocket yourself to the top of this entire organization. You can become the number one income earner, the fastest growing person in this business, even though you may not have started. You may have a year and a half. Somebody else may have had a year and a half head start on you because we launched about a year and a half ago. And you can pass them in this because you do this and you teach your team to do this. See, when someone builds a list right out of the gate and they have a huge list of, like, here's the thing, you could build a list, it could be a small list, but it's like a blueprint for your business. Like, if you want to have a big business, you have to have a big list. It's like a blueprint. If you want a big house, you have to have a big set of blueprints. If you want a small house, you can have a small set of blueprints. No issue there. Whichever one you want. But let's say you want to have a big business, you need a big list. And the bigger your list, the more you will believe that you can do this. The more you will believe that when someone says it won't work, it doesn't matter because you have a lot of people on your list. See, if I said to somebody, and I have people, the other day somebody said, I have a list and it has 15 people on it. And I said, well, that's great. That's a great start. He said, well, I figure I'll go and test it out with these 15 people and see, if any of these people want to do it. And if they do, then this would be a good business for me. And I said, well, that's kind of a silly thing to say, because what if those 15 people are all knuckleheads, right? What if they're people that just aren't looking? It's not the right time for them. They have things going on in their lives. They don't believe in themselves. They're not looking for something. They're complacent. What if those 15 people are that? And then 1,000 other people, but you didn't put them on your list, and you're basing the other 985 people on the 15. You see, what happens is if you only have a list of 10 or 15 people to reach out to, then when you go and you reach out to the first 5 people and they say they're not interested, you're putting a lot of stress on the second 5 people unnecessarily because you didn't do your job to do the number one thing right out of the gate to start your business is build a huge list. And so it's the inventory for the business, but it'll also, if you have a big list, then that's going to enhance your vision. It's going to expand your dream. It's going to make you think of things that you normally would not have thought of because you have a big list, an unending, comprehensive list that you'll never, maybe ever get through. That's what you want. Having a big list will make you go back and think about your reason why you're doing this. You'll automatically expand your reason why and your vision of what you can do with this because you have a big list. You'll automatically be more likely to go out and build a vision board for yourself off of that reason why. You'll be more likely to go and reach out to people and invite people long term if you have a big list. The people who don't have a big comprehensive list, oftentimes they go get several no's and they think it won't work because they've exhausted their list. You want to make a list that you cannot exhaust. The number one best way to do this is with the memory jogger. The Who Do You Know memory jogger. This is available on our bit.ly/think big documents. Go there now, print this up. If you're building the business, you should have these. You should have these with you at all times when you're going to meetings and things like that. You need to have these with you. Develop your list. It teaches you not to prejudge anyone. It is so important. I'm going to change this. It's not at least 100 names because the average 18-year-old, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, knows over 2,000, almost now 3,000 people, the average 18-year-old. So to make a list of, if you're 18 or above and you have to be that to be in this business, you know at least 2,000 to 3,000 people. So 100 names is a joke. We need to change that because it's not 100 names. I like to say it's 500 names. Your list should have at least 500 names on it. Honestly, that's what it is. We're going to need to change that because everybody knows a lot more people than they think they know. And if you use this tool, the memory jogger, to go through that, and you go line by line through each one of these categories, each one of these things that's on the list, stop on each one. This is going to take you a couple hours, guys, but it's the best thing you can do in your business. And I know some people say, well, I have it all electronic. It's in my phone. They're all my contacts in my Facebook. They're all my contacts on LinkedIn. They're all my contacts on Instagram. They're all my contacts that are contacts in my phone. People that I put in my phone. That's my list. It's electronic. That's not a list. That's a thought. That's a thought. That's a great thing. That's a thought. When you go and you actually make a written list and put pen to paper and make the list, make it electronic after that, but build the list with a pen and a piece of paper, pen and this memory jogger. Make your list. Do it with your spouse, right? If you're married or you have a significant other, you should work on this list together. Do this together. That's what my wife and I did. We spent 2 hours, 3 hours on our first. We were watching a football game before we started with Think Plus. We were watching a football game. We did our memory jogger exercise. It was 3 hours long. And at the end of 3 hours, we had 699 fresh names on our list. 699 names. We have more now because we keep adding to the list. It's an ever evolving thing. It goes through and it jogs your memory. It teaches you, it makes you think of people you would have never thought of if you hadn't read through line by line this document. It says, first thing it says, who do you know that's ambitious, very ambitious? Stop on that and think about it. Who do I know that's ambitious? Ponder each one of these line items. This is what you do for 2 hours and write their names down. Don't worry about emails and phone numbers. You can fill that in later. Don't worry, even if you forgot their name, like guy I met at Starbucks the other day, write that in there to make you think about it. And then maybe you'll figure out who it is, or person that worked behind counter at hotel that I stayed at. You can figure out who it is later. You go through each one of these things. Who's your accountant? Who's your architect, your attorney, your banker, your builder, your chiropractor? Who sold you your air conditioner, your airplane? That'd be a good one. If you know anybody that ever sold an airplane, go talk to that person about the business because they either are they'll be great at this, or they know people that will be. Because busy people, the more successful and the busier they are, the more likely they are to do this or refer someone to you who will do this in a big way. All right. And so categories of people, all of your address books, your Christmas list, your Hanukkah list, whatever it would be. You have neighbors, you have church acquaintances, you have a wedding list, your LinkedIn connections, your Instagram, your Twitter. Write them down. Go through and look the people that you know and bring them onto your list. It goes through categories, actor to zoologist. Go through each one of these things. Who do you know that's a homemaker? Who do you know that works as a hospital employee? Who do you know that's a painter? Who do you know that's a chimney sweep? I'm like, is that even a thing? It's a thing. I looked it up. I put chimney sweep on there. And it's amazing how your reticular activating system works. It's that thing that, you hear something like all of a sudden you see a car for the first time and you never saw one before of that type. And then all of a sudden you see them everywhere. It's because you imprinted something on your brain and your reticular activating system is saying, oh, hey, look, I remember that thing. It's like when you learn a new word and then all of a sudden you see that word everywhere. It's your reticular activating system. It's the same thing that happens here. When you start, I remember reading this and I said, chimney sweep, I don't know any chimney sweeps. Then all of a sudden I was looking through one of those coupon books that came out in the mail and it said, you want to get your chimney swept. I'm like, well, you got to be kidding me. That thing that exists. And I put the phone number down, I put that business down, and I called somebody and met somebody at that business. A chimney sweep. That's how it works, you guys. It makes you think of people that you'd never ever think of. And then baby names. I did this last night when I was in our meeting last night during the training after the meeting, and I said to somebody sitting in the front row, I said, "How many people do you have in your phone named Joe?" And takes out his phone. He's like, "I've got 8 of them." And I said, "Great. How many Josephs?" He's like, "I got 5 of those too." And so you need 13 people named Joe just with one name on this one segment of this one page of this memory jogger. And we already have 13 names from one name. You guys, this is the power of this business. If you do this and you teach this to everybody on your team, and you have a team assembled of a moving, growing organization that all has a list that they're constantly adding to, that they built and they're adding to it, you're going to have tremendous success. It's the number one indicator of success in this business by far. It has to have at least 100 names. I mean, we had to print up these pages multiple times when we did our list. Have it and do it, and then start thinking about the people that you have on that list that are the best people that you can reach out to first. Who would you want on your board of directors? I said to somebody last night, he's already an advisor, been in our team for a while. He's building, he's got a team assembled. And I said to him, well, who would you want on your board of directors? And he said, well, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, if you owned a multi-billion-dollar company, who would you put on your board of directors at the board of directors table? That's what we're looking at here. That would run your company when you couldn't be there. People that you know, people you love, people you trust, people that are committed, hardworking people, people of integrity, people that are coachable, money motivated people who have a sphere of influence. Reach out to the best people you can first, and then you can help everybody else become successful. It's like that thing on the airplane when they say, well, in the event of an emergency, right? And for a lot of us, when we join this business, it's an emergency. Like a lot of us are in an emergency situation. We treat it like that because we're like, if I don't change something in my life and create some type of income that allows me to make additional income outside of my regular core career or profession, because it hasn't gotten me where I need to go. And it's an emergency. Like I'm treating this like it's an emergency. I need to make this happen. Okay, so in the event of an emergency, they say the oxygen mask comes down. Does it say put the oxygen mask on your kids first? No. It says in the event of an emergency, put the oxygen mask on yourself first so that you can then go and help other people. It's the same exact thing here. Go work with the best people you can first, right out of the gate. Like somebody, the other day, I said to somebody, I asked him, who are you going to reach out to first? And he says, well, I got my brother-in-law, he lost his job a little while ago and then he broke his leg and he's been kind of sitting on the couch, not doing a lot. He's got a lot of time on his hands. He's just been watching TV and he's kind of just riding it out, until he finds something else that might be better. I think I'm going to call him first. And I'm like, yeah, because you're thinking of people that need it, right? Which is good, but you're not thinking of people who can actually do it. And there's a difference there, okay? So I said, well, who else do you have on your list? And he says, well, I have my old boss. I said, well, tell me about him. He said, well, he's in the insurance business and I used to work there and he's really successful. He's got like houses all over the country and he's got an insurance business. He owns a car wash as well. I think he's got like a restaurant and he knows everybody and he's really busy and I have him on my list, but he'd never do this. He's not looking for money. And I said, that is the worst thing you can do is to prejudge someone. But the best thing you did was write him on your list. The worst thing you did after you got him on your list was you put him at the bottom of your list and you put your broke brother-in-law that's never done anything before, and is kind of complacent sitting there. I said, reach out to the best first. Let's talk to your former boss insurance person that's busier than anybody on the planet, making more money, very successful. Busy people get stuff done. Let's talk to him first. And you know what we did? Turns out the broke brother-in-law, he told him it was a scam and it wouldn't work. Boy, was he wrong. Okay. But the insurance person, his former boss, did not join the business, but led him to 4 people that did. And then once those 4 people wanted to join, we went back to the business owner and said, hey, the people you referred want to join. You saw this program, right? Now, do you want to get in ahead of them? And he said, sure, absolutely. I'm glad thank you so much for calling me and honoring that referral that I made to you. Because I'd love to jump in ahead of them and be their sponsor. I might be able to refer other people to them. That's a person who's very busy, but understands that this is a real business that can duplicate just by making referrals. Okay, so that business owner is sitting there. I've talked to him several times since then. He's like, look, I don't know where this is going to lead, but I keep referring people into that business. It just keeps getting bigger. I mean, maybe this might actually outpace some of my other businesses over time if you guys keep doing what you're doing. And I'm like, great, you just keep doing what you're doing. Guy's totally uninterested in spending time doing this, but he'll put people into it. That's what I like to say to people. You can build this business by putting time into it, by putting people into it, or by putting both into it. And all 3 of those will work. If you put time into it, you will find the people. If you don't have time, but you already know the people, you can put people into the business without spending a lot of time. And then if you have someone who has both, that's where the magic happens. Somebody who's like, hey, I'm ready to put time and people in. Great. That's how I was. Right. And that's how a lot of people who you're working with are. Don't forget to put people on your list that are organizations, not just people, but businesses. Businesses, faith groups, organizations, sports teams, any type of organization. We've had Girl Scouts organizations join our team as advisors. We've had churches. We've had synagogues. We've had businesses. We've had sports teams. We will continue to have that. We have nonprofits. We have charities. They will continue to join. Don't forget to put a list together, your target audience of anyone, any organization that has clients, causes, missions, influence, volunteers, employees. Faith groups and nonprofits, energy companies, realty agencies, rooftop solar companies, you name it, insurance agencies, landscaping companies, roofing companies, you're getting the idea. Anyone that has clients. You guys realize that they can either monetize or remonetize their clients with this, their client base with this. So in the example of a rooftop solar company, social media influencers, you think they're looking to make money? YouTubers? Of course they are. Would they put up a public service announcement if something was good and it could be great for for the people they're influencing? Of course they would, because then they monetize their audience over and over and over again. That's what they do. Right? So in the case of a rooftop solar company, let's use that as an example. These people meet with a lot of clients. They meet with thousands of clients over time, right? And they don't, and the majority of the people they meet with do not become their customer and they make no money with them. It's the same thing with insurance agents. Every insurance agent that meets with somebody, they don't automatically get the customer. They have a whole bunch of customers that never became their customer, but they know them. Same thing with realtors. You know how many realtors have not sold a house after they show it? Every realtor. Most realtors have to show multiple houses to multiple clients before they ever have a client that they sell a house to. You guys realize that those are people that they know and they can interface and they can take their existing business and without interfering with anything that they're currently doing in their regular core career or profession, they can build a separate stream of income that can maybe be a plan B for them that can turn into a plan A. Put every company, look, restaurant owners, awesome. They're busy, but they know everybody. Everybody comes into their restaurant. They know everybody. We're going to expand the list making tool called the memory jogger to include every type of business. There's already occupations there, so go after the owners of those occupations, but we need to put the names of the businesses in there as well. So that's going to happen. You guys, that's what I wanted to share with you. You have to have the written list. It is the save all, catch all, best thing you can do. It's the self-correcting thing. It will keep people motivated. It will keep people in the game. The thing, when people get negative and they hear negative and they have a big list, they don't care. The people who have a small list and hear negative, it blows them out of the business. You want to save yourself a lot of time? Go and spend time. Require the people that you're working with to have a list. When I personally sponsor someone and I'm going to work with them, I say, look, the next 2 hours, after you get certified and all that stuff and your website is up and running, you need to spend 2 hours. You need to make this list. You need to call me back. It has to have at least 100 people on it. And if you really want my time, it needs to have 500 people on it. Because your chance of success is way better if you have 500 names on your list versus 100. And it's way better if you have 100 versus 10, and way better if you have 10 than 0. Like you didn't make a list and it's all in your head. That doesn't work. That does not work. You have to have a list. So it'll save you and your team a lot of time. You'll grow faster and people will stick around longer. They will ride out the valleys. There's going to be ups and downs in this business. And having a big list is the thing that gets you from when somebody says no, it makes you go reach out to somebody else on your list. And the list just saved you. And now you're a yes again. You're back in the game. See, people that are new in this business, they tend to quit the business multiple times a day. Somebody says no, they're like, oh, I can't do this business. It stinks. Then they look at their list and thank goodness that they created it. And then they reach out to somebody else. And then that person says no. And they're like, oh, this doesn't work. And then they look at their list. They go, well, there's somebody else here I need to talk to. And all of a sudden, the fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever person, that person's ready to go. And now they're at the top of their game all of a sudden. And they have a big list ready to go. And the best time to reach out to someone on your list is after you've had someone join your team as an advisor, because your attitude, your excitement, and your enthusiasm is at the top. So you guys, that's where we are. This is our weekly virtual meeting schedule of events hosted by corporate and by the founders. This is our exhaustive list of all the events. Now, I know there's lots of other teams that have meetings, that have Zoom webinars and everything else, and that's great. This is the corporate and founders list. This is all of the corporate and founders lists that are hosted by corporate and the founders. And look, plug in with your team elsewhere. If you're working with somebody who has a specific team meeting going on, plug in on that as well. It's all available. There's no way for us to put every meeting that exists everywhere in Think Energy on the list, but this is a comprehensive list of the corporate and founders meetings that are hosted. So questions, comments, concerns, feel free to put it into the chat or raise your hand. Steve, I'm glad I'm not in charge of coding the system or keeping track of customer points, promotions, and payouts because there are changes and improvements every month. You said it, Steve. Not me. I'm glad I'm not in charge of it either, Steve. You know it from an IT perspective as well as I do. And what an incredible run this has been up until this point, and where we're headed is not even close to, where we're headed is not even close to where we are now. It's even way, way further down the road. But I'll tell you this, I love the changes. I love the promotions. And if you've noticed and you've been around with us for a while, you'll notice that all of the changes and updates have always favored the field. And I love that. So yeah, Ned, Mandy, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Ned, even Bella, who just went partner, thought about quitting in the beginning. Isn't that amazing? Somebody who just went partner was trying to quit days after she joined. Thank goodness she had a big list of people and some people who sponsored her and her upline, right? Her support system. Thank goodness she had a big list, which gave her a big vision, and she had some people to encourage her to stick to it using that list. And so she went and reached out to somebody else on her list and reached out to somebody else. And then she had a win and another win and another win, and then a bunch of losses, and then a bunch of wins, and then a bunch of losses and a bunch of wins. And that's how it goes. And the list lets you ride that out. So anybody who has a question, feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. I'll unmute you. Coach Francie looks like, and the clan. I'll never give up and never give in to these doggone injuries. Keep on keeping on. God's grace. Yes, indeed. I love that. That's the attitude that you have in life, Coach. That's the attitude you have in the business. And I love it. And that's how it works. The list will help you overcome your obstacles, you guys. It's like a crutch in your business until it's kind of like training wheels for your business until you can get rolling on your own. And that's what it is. The list is the catch-all in this business, and we spend a lot of time on it, and it's worth it. All right, Pastor Keone, I think that's what it is. I appreciate you being here as well. I'm going to give it another minute or so. In case there's any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. If not, I'm going to let everybody get back to their day. This is recorded, and this is going to become a good training tool for you to use. I think we went through a comprehensive overview on why you need to do a list and why it's so important. Listen to this in your car, listen to it on YouTube, whenever it is, and utilize these words. I'm telling you right now, I have been doing this for over 30 years in this industry, and someone who made over $500 million, over $500 million, personally taught me how to do this using this tool. Now, it's been enhanced since then, but using this, okay? That is how this works, and you can do this too. So I appreciate everybody being here. And I'll let everybody get back to their day. Rosemary, I see a question came in just in the nick of time, right? Define telemarketing, and does that mean you can only contact people you have met? So Rosemary, we don't allow telemarketing. That is correct. Telemarketing is when you call a stranger at their home or on their cell phone, their personal cell phone or their home, and you don't know them. The Federal Communications Commission has you'll get hit with a heavy fine, and so will our company if you telemarket to people who are on a do not call list. There's a do not call registry list, but also that's if you call someone who's on the list and they fine you for it. So instead of having to have people worry about, well, who's on the list and should I call them and let me match it up, we just prohibit telemarketing altogether. You cannot call strangers on the phone that you don't know. Now, if you've already met them, they've already connected with you, like you have a relationship. Like, let's say you have a relationship with someone on LinkedIn. They connected with you on LinkedIn. You sent them a friend request. Would you like to be my friend? Yes, I'm your friend. Now, and you said thank you. That's a relationship, right? So if they've already connected with you in some way, you've met them virtually, you've met them face to face, then it's not considered telemarketing. Okay, so that's how it works. That's telemarketing. So yeah, stay away from that. Just don't make a list of everybody you know. Use your own list. That's the best thing you can do anyway, because working with strangers, very difficult. You might be able to get 1 out of 20, 1 out of 10, 1 out of whatever. But if you work on your own personal list and you do this right, you're going to find the 3 out of 10 who are going to do this, and it's going to save you a lot of time. Fabian Clan, yes, we absolutely appreciate your commitment in so many ways, bro. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're having fun with it. Can I reach out to businesses from my Gmail, like Walgreens? If you know someone there, sure. You can also call. That's a business. That's a different story. There aren't telemarketing laws to calling up a store, like a business. That's not where it is. I mean, do I recommend doing that? As long as you're looking for a specific person, sure, that you met. So can you reach out to businesses from your Gmail? Sure. If you do business with them and you know them and they're open for business, sure. Stan, thanks for being here. I've been on their list for years. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about Walgreens. I mean, maybe you know somebody over there. I'd find some people that work at Walgreens maybe and talk to them. But yes, can you define the community solar opportunity in New Jersey this month? Is it only LMI? So in New Jersey, you guys want to, when you want to look, when you go on to thinksuccess.plus, you want to go on to thinksuccess.plus and look at the capacity report. It's right there at the beginning. When you scroll down in the training topics, you'll see it there. Community solar capacity report, capacity update. Keep in touch with that because it's going to ebb and flow. Community solar is going to be, we're going to have a lot of capacity, then we're going to have a little capacity until we get more solar farms. Then we'll have a lot of capacity, then we'll fill it up, we'll get a little capacity. It's going to be that way, and there's going to be an ebb and flow, especially in these newer markets like New Jersey. Like in New York, it's just wide open. We're all the time, Illinois all the time, Maine all the time. But some of these other states that aren't quite as mature yet, they haven't had a longer community solar program in their state. They don't have a lot of farms. There's not an open runway of farms. So New Jersey is like that. So we filled up a lot of capacity for open capacity, and we need to balance that in New Jersey before we open up more capacity for open. So we need to get some low and moderate income customers in the state of New Jersey because they're required. Each farm has a requirement for how many non-LMI and LMI customers. And it's like sometimes it's like 30% of the farm has to be LMI, sometimes it's 50%. So right now we have a big need for LMI in New Jersey. So in New Jersey right now, we're not bringing in community solar enrollments that are non-LMI, except in the zip codes, the select zip codes in that promotion, where we're giving an extra $100 for certain zip codes in the state of New Jersey, where you can bring in a customer of LMI or non-LMI. So you can do non-LMI in the zip codes right now, and you can do LMI everywhere else. That's pretty much how it is right now. Now, look, that could change tomorrow. You have to stay in touch and keep up to date. That's why we put these tools in thinksuccess.plus so you can self-educate and self-update. You can update yourself by going there and staying up on the capacity charts. All right. How about businesses? Yeah, you can call businesses, definitely. Talk to the owner of the business, especially if you, I love to call businesses that I've gone in there and I've been their customer. And then I talk to the business owner. That's who I like to talk to. You might have to call up and ask who the business owner is. Like when I go to a restaurant, like we were at a restaurant yesterday, and I love the place, and I can't wait. We're going to go back there again. And when I go back there again this next time, I'm going to actually, we already have the names of two people that waited on us, but I didn't get the name of the owner. But the next time I go in, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to actually say before they seat me, I'm going to go into the restaurant. I'm going to say, hey, listen, this is my second time in. I loved it so much. We're coming back in for dinner again. We love this place. And I would love to, and I loved our waiter, our waitress, our server from the last time. I'd love to, put in a letter, kind of a recommendation, or just a compliment. I'd love to give that person a compliment, but I want to send it to the owner. Who's the owner? See, that's how I ask. I like to do something good for someone and then ask them for something. Okay, so I could just walk in and say, who's the owner? But that doesn't really get me anywhere, right? So then they'll say, oh, you want to send it to this person? I'm like, great. So now I'm sending a letter of recommendation to the owner for the previous person that was my waiter or waitress, our server, right? And now I can say to them, how should I send it to them? Should I call them first before I send it? Do you want to give me their number? Should I call them here? Is there a cell phone I should reach them on? Or is there another way I should do it? Do they have an email address? Like, I don't want it to just go to anybody. I want it to go to that person. How do I get it to the owner? And they'll say, oh, yeah. And look, and then I'll say, listen, is the owner here today? And they'll say, yeah, I think so. I say, well, great. Well, we're going to have lunch over here. I would love it if you could somehow, I don't know if it's possible, it doesn't have to be, but now that I have their email address or their phone number, I appreciate that. I'm going to get this information, I'm going to get this letter of appreciation off to this person. But if the owner is somehow available, I would love to, tell them how impressed I was with the service in advance of writing a letter. If they could come out to my table or something like that while I'm here, I'm going to be here for about an hour or whatever. I'd love to. If not, I'll do it the next time because I'm going to keep coming back in. See, that's how I like to have a conversation when I'm looking to get in touch with a business owner. I like to do that. I like to be their customer and I like to find the good in their business and compliment the good and substantiate the good to make them feel like I'm a good person at heart. And I am, and you are too. And I'm doing good for them. Right? So that's how it works, and that's the way you do that with businesses. I mean, it's one of the ways you do it. I would highly recommend doing that. Can you imagine if the person that I walked up to is going to seat me, or if the new server that's coming to, if that person becomes my server and I just told them I had a good experience with the last one, how good do you think my experience is going to be with this next one if they know that that's how I am? Guys, you can make things happen. Okay. In the beginning for community solar, if we were not allocated to a farm within 12 months, there was a $50 rebate, not 75. Does that still exist? It doesn't exist anymore because we've been bringing customers on well in advance of 12 months. That was kind of at the beginning. We didn't know how long it was going to take, but if it does take longer, all the people who agree, who came on early, they will be getting that $50 gift card. They can actually contact Think Energy customer care via email or phone call, and they can actually get it by contacting customer care. They can get a link to do it, I believe, or something like that. But yeah, just have them contact customer care and they'll be able to do it. We have a toll-free number. It's open like 8 to 8. Preston. So I can basically reach out to people who are in the service states of the American businesses that have customers in the States. Sure, absolutely. You can reach out to businesses. Okay, you can definitely reach out to businesses. And we have a training on how to reach out to businesses. You want to go onto our YouTube channel and talk about it because you want to reach out to them about an employee incentive program, an employee benefits program that you can provide to them with this service, community solar and electricity, and our free energy club. Those three things combined. Okay. Plus our new co-pilot program that's coming out. All of those services are things that you want to talk to those local business owners about because they would love to help their employees save money, help their employees and in the process make money. A lot of them have environmental concerns, and great. We support that because we have the initiative with One Tribe. And we can help all of their employees get free energy. I mean, what business owner would rather have, if you were a business owner and you had 10 employees, would you rather have your employees pay 5 to 25% less on their electricity bills with community solar and even more savings with retail electricity supply, or maybe even potentially get their electricity for free through our free energy club? If you had 10 employees and you owned the business, would you want your employees to get free energy, or would you rather them pay full price? If you're a business owner, you want all of your employees to pay less for every service they have, including electricity. You want them to get their cell phone for free. You want them to get their car for free. You want them to get their energy for free or get a discount or both, right? Because that means they have more buying power, and what you're paying them is then worth more to them because they're paying less on their electricity. It's like you gave them a raise without having to give them a raise. You guys, that's how you reach out to businesses. If you're just calling some business up, call about that. I'm calling about an employee incentive program. Go and look up and do the training. We have a training posted on our YouTube channel, how to set up employee incentive programs, or how to reach out about setting up employee benefit programs for businesses. Go watch that. Yes, Mandy, this was recorded. It will be posted today. Bruce, what about Colorado Community Solar? Colorado Community Solar was we notified everybody up front. It was a very small capacity to start out. It's a small program that's going to grow over time. We already have filled, I think, all of the capacity in that market, and we're not bringing in any more customers now. We're waiting for additional farms to open. That's what's going on there. So Ned, thanks for being here. Appreciate that. Preston, okay, that's it. Let's go, Preston. Make it happen. Go reach out to people. Go watch the video first. Make your list. If you don't have a list, here's what I would not do. Don't start calling businesses or reaching out to businesses or anyone until you have at least 500 names on your list. Because you will be more successful if you have 500 names on your list and then you start reaching out to some of those businesses. You are setting yourself up for failure if you don't have a big list before you start reaching out to people. I'm telling you that right now. It's like clockwork. I can tell it every time. Okay? Have the list. When you have a big list of people and then you go to reach out to a business or a person, there's an unspoken language between people. And you're going to broadcast to them. If you only have 5 or 10 people on your list, or even 100 or less, and you reach out to someone, there's an unspoken language. There's something you need them to join your team more than if you had 500 people on your list. And when you have 500 people on your list, you don't care if this person you're talking right now joins or not. You don't care. It doesn't matter because you have 499 others. But if you only have 10 people on your list and you're talking to person number 2, and this person, you're broadcasting, even if you don't think you are doing it. You're making them feel, and you're making yourself feel that you need them because you don't have enough people on your list to make your mind honestly say to yourself, I don't need them. And when you need people, you will not get them. You're trying to harpoon them and they don't want to be gotten. People don't want to be gotten. So your big list automatically makes your brain transmit wavelengths to someone that says, I have something really good and I don't need you for it, but it might be good for you. And I'd love to have you join my team. But if it's not for you, it's no big deal because I have a lot of people to talk to and a little bit of time. And that's how it is, you guys. All right, everybody, I'm going to let everybody get back to their day. Appreciate everybody being here. This is Tony Procopio from New Fairfield, Connecticut. Over and out. Everybody have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.